All right, let's talk about something that trips up so many people in English. You ever stop and wonder why we say I want to go, but then we say I enjoy going? It's one of those little grammar puzzles that can drive you crazy. Well, today, we're going to crack that code, once and for all.
First things first, let's head into the kitchen. So this is our TV chef, and as you can see, he's got all his ingredients ready to go. He's about to bake something amazing. But listen closely, because his instructions, well, they hold the secret to everything we're talking about today. So, here's the big question. Our chef might say he enjoys making a cake, using that ing form. But then, in the very next sentence, he could say he wants to make another one, switching to the to form. It's the same basic action, right? But the verb pattern is totally different. So, what's the deal?
Believe it or not, the answer is actually really simple. When you've got two verbs sitting next to each other, the first verb is the boss. Yep, it's the one calling the shots. It decides exactly what form the second verb has to take. That's the whole principle right there.
Okay, so if the first verb is the boss, we need to meet the different types of bosses, right? First up, let's talk about what I like to call the to-do crew. These are all the verbs that are looking ahead, pointing towards the future, a plan, or a goal. The logic here is pretty cool. When your main verb is about something you intend to do, or hope to do, or decide to do in the future, the verb that follows uses to. It's almost like you're literally pointing forward to an action that hasn't quite happened yet. Just think about all the forward-looking things our chef might be doing. He could plan to add some extra spice, or promise to share his recipe online. He might even decide to enter a baking contest. See how all of those verbs, plan, promise, decide, they're all setting up a future action?
And we can see this right in the chef's own recipe. He writes, if you decide to add nuts, the decision happens now, but the adding of the nuts, that comes later. It's a classic forward-looking move, so it absolutely has to be to add. It just makes sense.
But, of course, we don't just talk about plans and what we're going to do. A huge part of language is talking about our feelings and what we're experiencing right now. So, let's meet our next character and see a completely different pattern.
So, say hello to the ing team. These verbs aren't about the future at all. They're all about the here and now. They describe an experience, a feeling, a reaction, something that's already happening.
This is Andy. And, oh boy, Andy is not having a good day. His office is loud, his coworkers are a bit much, and honestly, his reactions to this whole situation, they're going to show us exactly how these ing verbs work.
So, if the to-do verbs are looking forward, you can think of the ing verbs as describing the action itself, as a real, solid experience. If you can feel it, or if you're right in the middle of it, chances are you're going to be using an ing verb.
I mean, just listen to poor Andy's complaints. He can't stand working. That's his current feeling, his experience. His colleague keeps singing. That's an action that's going on and on. He detests working and all that noise. The whole focus is on the experience of it all, not some plan for the future. Okay, now for the part that I think is the most fascinating. There are some verbs that can actually be followed by either form, but the meaning changes completely depending on which one you pick. These are the trickiest ones for sure, but once you get the logic, they're actually pretty cool.
Let's start with the verb remember. If you remember to check the cake, you're looking forward. It's a future task, like a little mental note. But if you say, I remember checking my keys, now you're looking backward, into a memory of something you already did. It's all about future versus past.
The verb stop is kind of similar. If she stopped to have a rest, it means she paused one thing in order to start doing something else. That to is all about her purpose. But if our chef yells, stop beating the mixture, he means just that, end that one action completely.
And then there's try. To try to ice a cake. That suggests you're making a real effort. Attempting something that might be hard. But to try adding nuts, well, that's more like a suggestion, an experiment. You're just doing it to see what will happen. It's the difference between a real challenge and a casual experiment.
Wow, okay, look at this icing disaster. This is the perfect example. We could give two bits of advice here. First, she should try using less pressure. That's the experiment. But we also know it's really hard to try to get it just right, and that's the difficult attempt. See? Both meanings, right there in one very, very messy situation. So, after all that, what's the one big takeaway? Let's boil this all down to a single, super simple rule that will put you in charge of your verbs.
Here it is. The first verb is the boss. That's it. That's the secret. If you can just remember that, you've got the key. You just have to ask, is that boss verb about the future? Use to. Is it about an experience? Use ing. Always. Always look at that first verb.
And for those tricky meaning changers, here is your go-to cheat sheet. For remember, it's future versus past. For stop, think purpose versus finish. And for try, it's attempt versus experiment. This little table has your back.
So, there you have it. The secret code has been unlocked. So now the only question left is, with this new grammar superpower, what will you try to do? What new challenge will you attempt? Or maybe, what will you try doing differently just to see what happens? The choice is all yours.